This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Welcome back, boys and girls, to another edition of Death, Glory, or Disappointment with your man, Dan Meredith, the bearded legend. What is up, brother?
I'm good, mate. I'm really good. I'm starting to feel, like I said, obviously said on the last podcast, nearly human. I think it's safe to say, well, as human as someone who looks like me is. So slightly less feral.
Oh, good. So what do you have for us today, Dan?
Well, this is a great question. I mean, I asked my group for some good topics, and this is one that's kind of dear to my heart because I've coached a lot of people now, and it's the concept of, can anyone really do it? Is that truth or is that myth?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Probably going to rub some people up the wrong way again today.
Looking
Standard Dan. So the short answer to that from my perspective, so I mean, I've coached many people. I mean, I think, coaching calls now, we're in the low thousands. Work with a lot of entrepreneurs online, offline, starting out, 7-8 figures. And my honest answer is no.
Uh-oh.
Not everyone can make it. Not everyone should make it, is probably a better way to put it. Some people mentally and physically cannot deal with the rigmarole and the pressure and I hate, I'm doing the old bunny ears, the haters and all of the I mean, the positive shit is phenomenal. I mean, it massively outweighs that. But there are some people who, and there is nothing wrong with this is the thing, who shouldn't be self-employed, who shouldn't have a business, who shouldn't go into entrepreneurship. They just shouldn't. They just haven't got the psychological makeup to deal with that pressure. And there is nothing wrong with that. See, what annoys me in sort of our world is when you see people, there's a couple of things. One of the first ones is the whole, follow your passion. Bullshit. Okay, Jonathan, I'll turn the tables on you. So take business. What are you passionate about? What do you love doing? I know you're a great podcaster. I know you grow a good beard. What do you love? What do you love doing?
Well, I'm in a really fortunate position because, this is not my first business. This is several businesses in, and my unique ability is really hanging out with my mentors and talking with people. So this is actually what I love. Okay.
So you are one of the rare, and as do I. I love working with people and coaching. But if I say passion, things I love, okay? I love watching adult cartoons, and that's not hentai or anything like that. That's like your Family Guys, your American Dads, that sort of thing. I like eating pizza. I like having sex. I like sitting on a beach getting drunk. No one is going to pay me to do any of that.
What? That's a bummer.
I know.
Just killed the laptop lifestyle, bro.
And you know what? This thing is, you can turn, elements of your passion. So like we both love working with people. So I've come from a sales background. I like to write. So things like copywriting and coaching and all of those good things kind of have become something I do. But ultimately, I'm not stupid. I needed to find if there's an actual market. Do people want to buy the shit I've got to sell? And that's the thing. People need to understand, just because you can create knitting patterns for cat jumpers, does anyone fucking want that? And you know what? There is probably a niche. No, I pulled that out of my ass. There's probably a niche out there which is exactly that. But what I'm trying to say is that firstly, like the passion thing, like some people just aren't passionate either. There's nothing wrong with that. They just like being themselves. They're happy. And one thing that really annoys me in the entrepreneurial space is the bashing of the 9 to 5. They're like, escape the 9 to 5, the grind, don't work for the man. It's like, well, okay, fuck you. because that is my parent. You know, what you're basically saying is my parents are idiots and my friends' parents are idiots. And I was an idiot for many, many years. And I'm not. My parents, I mean, I talk about my mum and dad a lot, as you know, but that's, I find, really insulting to people who maybe can't take a risk. You know, like my dad, he couldn't, you know, my dad is a phenomenal salesman. I mean, he's a natural at what he does. He is good. He is smart. I know I talk about him quite a lot, so sorry if I'm kind of going on about my dad a bit, but, you know, he's been very inspiring to me. He had to play it a little bit safe because of my sister. We needed a regular flow of income. We needed to make sure we had a roof over our heads and that the care bills were paid. That's it. Some people can't take a risk. And when those people say, like, jack your job in, you know, follow your dream, go for your passion, that's a very dangerous thing to say as a blanket statement. So you know, to those people who want to kind of change careers and do different things, and, you know, I'm all for it. But, like, I didn't leave my, you know, I obviously owned a gym and still own a gym. I didn't leave my, you know, full-time personal training until I'd had several clients as a copywriter. And I was working, you know, 18-hour days, average, you know, 6 days a week doing that, and maybe a little less on a Sunday. But I didn't really go for it until I'd found out that someone actually wanted to buy it.
You know what, Dan, to your point, because you're correct. I was an electrician. I don't know if we talked about that. I was an electrician. And then I jumped into real estate, and it wasn't because I was passionate about real estate. It was because that was my escape plan. And I worked at that business for 10 years till I got it to where I don't have to work on it every day. And now I'm following my passion. So this is 14 years later. Okay, so it isn't like I just jumped and stuff happened, and I certainly wasn't following my passion in the beginning. It was my hate for the job that got me moving. But you're right. It ain't going to be passion up front.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's, you know, passion is key, but I sometimes think, you know, there's a lot of programs like follow your passion, follow your dreams, and you should give it a go. I say that to people, but if you've got, you know, I mean, it's easier for me. I don't have, I have my sister to support, but, you know, there's no little kids running around. There's no wife or partner really that I have to kind of, you know, provide for. You know, I'm set. So it's a lot easier for me to be able to take risks. If I had a, you know, family, 2 kids, a mortgage, you know, all of those things that are pressures in modern life. If someone just said, I'm just going to quit my job and go follow my dream to do cat knitting patterns, I'd be like, oh, okay, how about you do a couple of hours a night working on it? And then there are some people who I have coached, and these people, and I won't name names because you'll know some of them, Jonathan. You've interacted with these people who are skilled and talented and very good, but they're like an amazing number 2.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal at supporting people who want to be entrepreneurs or want to lead, because leadership isn't for everyone. It's fucking hard. And, you know, I've just got my book out, and I'm very blessed, very accidental to get a bestseller, and not in some shitty category. I got a bestseller in bloody entrepreneurship, for God's sake. But that's taken me years and years to do it. And I'm getting, you know, haters and people giving me shit. And I'm like, why are you being horrible? Like, I haven't done anything to you. I don't even know you. But you need, you know, and it's taken me a long period of time to be psychologically tough enough to deal with the pressure and the cash flow and going into debt and dealing with staff. You know, there's a lot of things you have to do. I mean, yes, of course you can have a pleasant laptop lifestyle type job if you want. There's plenty of ways to do that. But, you know, in answer to the question that's put to me, you know, can everyone do it or should everyone do it? My answer is no. But I think everyone should try. But there is nothing wrong with admitting defeat. There's nothing wrong with one person in particular. I won't even say the gender in case they kind of think I'm picking on them. They worked their asses off for a year. It just didn't happen. Just didn't happen. So they went to get a job. They got a 6-month contract, and they're going to come back at it again and kind of work on it on the side. And that was my advice to them, and it was the smartest decision they could have taken, because they were getting into debt. They were running out of cash, and I'm like, this needs to stop. You've tried everything. It's just not working for you. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we need people to support us. Us with the vision need other people that maybe are not the visionaries. So it all works together, and you could be perfectly happy there as well.
And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with, I was a number 2 for years, for many, many years. And there is nothing wrong with that at all. But I needed years of being a number 2 to have the confidence and the strength and the tenacity and the mental resilience to be a number 1.
Good stuff, Dan. So what do you have coming up for us next time?
Jonathan, come on now.
It's a surprise.
We both know this. Dan turns up on the call with an idea for a podcast. You'll know, as I do, mate, probably about 1 minute before we start.
I can dig it, and I appreciate that, Dan. I appreciate that about you, and so do your listeners. So we will catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to Death, Glory, or Disappointment with Dan Meredith. If you enjoyed the show and you want more, then your next step is to go to iTunes right now and subscribe. And while you're there, give us a rating and review. It'll help us out a bunch, plus it'll bring you good karma.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.